guys, you are a gem, and it shouldn't take extreme circumstances, toxic tower moments, interfering family, meddling kids, dastardly villains for that fact to be validated in the lives of the people that you know and love. It doesn't take 14,000 attempts and for years to have elapsed for someone to be like, oh, you weren't trying to fill in the blank me. You weren't trying to sabotage me. You always had my best interest at heart. So often, we Earth Angels, empaths, light workers, intuitives, Galactic Federation, we are involved in connections with people because it's spiritual warfare essentially, where a third party can come in and upset the apple cart. And if you have a destined relationship with someone, you better know it, because I see no bigger regrets than when people do not seize the relationship that was specifically hand plucked for them. They let someone else who is jealous, ignorant, who has no grasp or understanding about what the next level is, whatever that is for them, because we all are coded with information for each other. That's why these human relationships matter. Someone may be sent to up level you in a certain way, and they don't come saying that when they get there, but little, the road unfolds before you as you continue along the journey. And I counsel and have had the experience myself where people have been disruptors in relationships that were soulmate destined or that were meant to elevate to a certain degree, and they allowed ego, drama, all the rest of it to sway people from the relationship destiny that they had ordered. You don't show up in people's lives without people having prayed for you and asked for you to be there. And so it doesn't take an act of God or war for people to understand that you are well intentioned and loving and loyal and whatever else you are. Fill in your blanks for who you know yourself to be. So often people that do not have a sense of themselves, that are not grounded in themselves, can be easily manipulated and swayed. And then they get embarrassed because they don't want to tell you, like, oh, I was stupid. And we all have been the fool. Everybody plays the fool. Aaron Neville never lied. There is no exception to the rule. We have all had a moment where we got tricked, hoodwinked, or bamboozled. However, when you are a loving partner or a friend or a family member in someone's life, it shouldn't take all of this testing. What it makes me think is this: how sure were you of me if it took just someone to come in and blow down a house I thought that was built properly like it was just matchsticks? That means that they had doubt. That means that they had venom, jealousy, hidden, latent judgments that they weren't sharing, and that's okay. That's our human nature. But if you are in a connection with someone, they should know you better. You will have to fight for what you want, because here's what happens every time. It never fails. You intersplice whomever you would like to, whatever dynamic it is, family, friend, lover. But if you allow a third party to get you out of the path of your destiny, trick you out of your spot, and then the Earth Angel moves on, and they're like, because Earth Angel is one thing we don't do. We're not going back and forth with the rickshaw, with the riffraff with you. We're not going back and forth, and like, I'm not going to be like competing to prove may the best, Homo sapien win. I'm not doing that with anybody, and I would say ever again, because it doesn't mean that I haven't. And that's what you learn when you do that. It's that, oh, this is why we don't do this. When you get your self-respect and you find your center, none of that stuff will sway you. You will not be interested in proving to anyone. People have thought that I've not cared when I've walked away from connections. It's just like it wasn't about not caring. It was about not wanting to participate with the bullshit. I'm busy, and I don't have time to prove to you anything that I've already proven. And that's what I want you to stand on business regarding, Earth Angels, is that If you're in someone's life and you've been there for any amount of time, or even if you're brand spanking new, you need to understand the work that you do and how integral you show up and how honest and how you wear your heart on your sleeve and how you're genuine and how you have set your own boundaries, so that means you'll respect their boundaries. So what you offer is such premium quality energy. Hence why narcissists and toxic people love you and vampires love you too, because it's a supply that they cannot replicate with the rest of the vermin that they're accustomed to. It's like, sucking the helium out of the tank. That's what it feels like to hook up with someone who is doing their own emotional work. No matter what the moniker is: Earth Angel, Light Worker, Psychic, Intuitive, whatever you want to call yourself, Palladian. The point is, you put a lot of work into your boundaries, your self-care, and your self-actualization. So you know who you are. And very often you will find people who are lacking creativity or inspiration or chutzpah even, that will want to come and siphon that from you. Because it's premium. Because no one does it like you. I'm not just talking my ish. I'm telling you a truth. The truth, the absolute Ace of Swords, singular truth, is that you love people so thoroughly that if they still need proof, then they are not for you. You can now become aloof regarding all of that. It is such a turn off for me. I find myself bored instantaneously, and boredom is my kryptonite. If I become bored with someone and I think they're not interesting because I can clock the games they're playing, whatever that may be, then it's less than just like, I'm not interested and I don't like you and get away from me. It's like, I've lost respect for you. I feel sorry for you. I have pity. It evokes pathos. And that is a bar far lower than just no thank you. But that's the position that people put you into when they want you to prove to them your worth, when you showed up being 100% in ways that they've never received from so many people. Whether it was a parent, a friend, a family member, a lover, you name it. You, whatever position you were playing in that person's life, you were doing above and beyond. And some people can't handle it. And some people talk a lot of ish and they think they can. And then they realize, like, oh, this would have to be where I really stand and I would have to take a stand. Not everybody can do that. And that's okay. But you, Earth Angel, your job is to know when to walk away. And it is to know that you don't play. And it is to let other people know you don't play. And it is also to let it be known that you will not stay for mistreatment, for slander, for their gossip. People always want to discuss what they don't understand and then ascribe whatever meaning they need to it. We've done that for time and millennia. This is how we have evolved as a species. We share stories. But if someone's been in your life, you don't have to become lore. They know what you were dispatched in for because they prayed for it. And if they get distracted by their own projections and disillusionment, whatever that may be, then that's not your business. Cut yourself free. And do not stay there to argue with them about the validity of your presence and why they need you, or why you have always been honest, or what you have meant to them. If they don't know, they're never going to know. What's that song? If you don't know me by now, you will never. If you don't love me by now, know me by now, whatever the words are, you're never going to do it. It's been a long time. It's been a long time that a lot of people had access to you to know exactly the pure, raw, uncut energy that you provide and the beautiful, healing, heart chakra realigning work that you do. And for me, I feel like they're quite audacious to even question you because I know you're showing up authentically. And that means that there is not just grace, and you're not asking for any favors or any period of reprieve. You are saying, show up and see what you need to see because I've done what I needed to do and I've always been real with you. So when someone wants to put you in some competition and they just can't make up their mind, then let it be a mind that on their own they can find. I'm not helping you. That's one of the other things we do is we unravel things. We connect dots. We figure out the answer. We solve the puzzle. We get the daily double. What is always being of service to everyone whose lives we enter for 1,000 Alex. May he rest in peace. We know how to bring all kinds of spiritual, emotional, financial, sexual, health, love, friendship, relief. You fill in what you are to and to whom you are. That too. But we show up and we have a great work that we do, and we do it well. That's why when you leave, you can leave knowing a good thing was done here. And if you still have emotions about what's happened, then that's fine. You're human and allowed to. But it won't be because you wanted me to stay to convince you. Mama, I came in convinced and convincing. Okay? I do exactly what I'm supposed to do in any connection that I show up in, and I know the same is true for you. It doesn't mean I'm always perfect. It doesn't mean I'm not adjusting and learning and tweaking and taking accountability. You guys have seen my videos here, my real core collective. You know exactly how I roll. You guys know me to a certain parasocial degree. But the people that are upfront and personal in your life know you upfront and personally. And how dare they call into question your loyalty or integrity? They don't get to do that unless it's face to face with you, a conversation the way that adults do. But if it's in third parties and whispers and gossip, and then you have to use your intuition to clock it, I'm disgusted with you. Now you're beneath boredom. Now I'm disgusted. I'm repulsed. You're repugnant to me because you're making me use the energy that I use to uplift people and help them evolve and to change into figuring out what kind of game you want to play because you're insane. Collective, don't let these people gaslight you. I don't explain a lot when I'm through. I tell them thank you for all you did. I value you for what you gave and for the time you were in my life. I valued how you showed up. I valued for when you did choose to do, you treated me right. I have learned so much, and even in this calamitous ending, there are lessons that I have learned here too, sis. And I exit. I don't stay in the toxic spin cycle with them to hash it out again and again, no matter what my heart feels. And people can say you're cold, collective. They'll say that you're evil. I'll say that you're real. We don't have time because we have other things on our agenda to do. Primarily, most importantly, and paramount is to heal, to let the healing come through. And that means you're not there in a tit for tat and a back and forth and a tete-a-tete with someone that was wishing the worst for you and was listening to everything that anyone else but you had to say. Y'all know what I'm going to say on this fine Sunday. F them completely, totally, forever, and walk away. They know everything that they need to know about you. They knew what they needed to know when they were trying to test you and when they were trying to either push you away or make you go or make you stay or manipulate you to whatever degree you fill in the blank as to what your story may be. They don't need to still see. And now when they're spinning the block in this Venus retrograde, talking about some, I understand now. Well, yeah, because I gave you the answer to the test. Yeah, I was with a client up here. I'm up in the mountains, and I was with a client, and I was talking about my Hippocratic oath which is not a real Hippocratic oath, but my own personal ethos. You know, the Hippocratic oath involves first do no harm, right? There's a butterfly effect, Hippocratic oath essentially for metaphysical practitioners and intuitives. Even if I'm in someone's life and I'm their friend, I'm their lover, I'm their family member, whatever I may be, I can see an outcome and know destinies. That doesn't mean I know every answer. I don't. I know some things I'm not allowed to be privy to. But it doesn't mean that I can interfere when I'm working with you guys collective or if someone's in my life personally. Because I would have incredible karmic backlash for that. They still have to choose the answer to the test. But once the contract is severed and I realize it's not going to go the way that it was destined to, then I may fill them in as to what the reality is. But that means that there's never a backseat, because how can you take a test that you already had the open key answer to? And you still fail it. Some of them have an open book test and still fail it. Nevertheless, Once I have to reveal to you, like, oh, this is what the da 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 da, and then they're like, oh, now I understand. Okay, well, now you understand. And just like the plot to any good movie, that's end. You can reflect upon its ending, and you can even choose an alternative ending in your head. And maybe the director will make a special cut. Remember DVDs, guys? So that you can go back and have a different experience and figure out who's going to be next up. But this is real life. And when the text closes on our relationship dynamics, it's closed. There are no redos if you're healthy. There are exceptions to the rule in reconciliation that could possibly be, but you would have to weigh that spiritually first with your angels and your spirit team to make sure if letting them back in would be the worst thing that ever happened to you or the best thing. You may have already gotten the marrow from the bone. You may have already extracted the nutrients from the food. You may not need to chew the cud like a cow repeatedly and incessantly and evermore. That's what a lot of people do in today's world because they don't want to do the spiritual work of like cutting the cords and releasing and dealing with the hurt and the disconnection, especially if one or both of you were codependent. And if you're here, you have been a codependent at some point, recovering perhaps, reformed people pleaser, reluctant doormat at times, whether you wanted to be or not, but you have evolved. That's the part that I will never forget. It cannot be forgot. You have evolved past that. So that is not who you are anymore. So you don't have to prove or convince or explain the villagers why the Lord that they gossiped about and made up is not to be the Lord. Let it be. Evermore, evermore. Live in your own fairy tale. But don't windmill. Which is like a colloquial fighting term. Do not be throwing blows and punches metaphorically, physically, or actually, guys. Keep all hands, feet, and objects to yourself. Do not try to convince yourself or anyone else around you of your worth. Your worth comes in the room with you. It enters into the door. It fills up hallways and takes up space. You create so many beautiful moments of connection when you are showing someone your truest face. And you do show truest faces. You're not wearing a mask. You didn't. People may think that they didn't understand you. We all have complexities to our personality. But they understood enough about your loyalty. Again, let me drive that home. And your integrity. Whether you were in a code switching situation, whether it was maybe a workplace, maybe connection, and maybe they didn't know you fully, whatever it may be that's pertinent to you, you were not being fake. Don't let them gaslight you. You were exactly who you were, and that is what your angels and your ancestors love about you. And that's why they do not want you to waste another moment of your time trying to convince people that they should have quote unquote chosen you. Man, the way that I feel, if a decision has to be made, the decision was made, and it will be made, like Cardi B said, forever. In spades. And so it is. Hope that was helpful for you guys. Just getting ready. And I wanted to share that with you. Just you being in their life was the proof. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.